Too bad or not too bad is ultimately the question. Hello everyone, my name is Megan and I'll be taking over Troubadour Stageworks' latest video. So hopefully you have already watched a couple of these. If not, the general vibe is that we are doing some textual analysis and then you will see me crawling around my living room giving my best performance. Apologies in advance. We are joined today by my mini Shakespeare bust, my Shakes duck, who has a little sign here who says to quack or not to quack, very important detail, and then of course big old Shakes EP. So I think the most important thing when approaching a monologue, no matter whether it's like a history or a comedy or kind of like any genre, is to kind of just go down to the basics. And particularly with Shakespeare, that is what is going on. Obviously the language is quite difficult to deal with unless you are, I don't know, fluent in Elizabethan. And the best thing to do for me is always literally just write out a translation. Now, if you've done a lot of Shakespeare before, you can mostly do that by yourself, sometimes having to like look up words that just no longer have any place in our modern language, or you can always use something like No Fear Shakespeare. I feel like people always feel like if you don't intuitively understand Shakespeare, then like it's too highbrow for you, when actually once you get past the language, you realise it's quite accessible. Back then, this was definitely like shows, plays for everyone, from the groundlings to like all the super posh people. It really is like dealing with universal themes that everyone can enjoy regardless of like your own personal experiences. Now, what I have chosen today is Bottom from Midsummer Nights Dream. We are obviously dealing with women in comedy and women playing fools. While Bottom is not kind of like the fool in the classic sense, like, I don't know, Feste Day and Twelfth Night or Touchstone and As You Like It, or the fool in King Lear, he is definitely foolish. And he's definitely one of the most beloved Shakespeare characters, and coming from one of the most beloved plays, A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I think at essence that's because we all have a bit of Bottom in us. We all recognise something in him that we all have in ourselves, and thus is very easy for us to laugh at, because either we have done those things or we know that one really annoying person who is currently doing those things. He is famous because, one, he has got a name where there are so many puns. His name is Bottom and he gets turned into an ass. So he's running around the forest practicing for a play when he has the misfortune to stumble upon Puck, and he gets basically a donkey's head kind of like supplanted and ends up with big old ears. He has a tryst with Titania in the forest, and then eventually is kind of like released from the fairies and goes back and does his play, which is where we kind of round off the play itself. So it's a play within a play, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's my most favourite character, because if you're acting in a Shakespeare play, you know a Bottom. You know someone who is exactly like him. He is basically just the original diva. He wants every part. He's convinced that he would be the best for this cast, that cast, everything. And everyone has definitely stumbled upon someone like him in the rehearsal room, but also generally in life. I think one of the reasons why the play at the end of Midsummer Night's Dream that the Rude Mechanicals put on for Duke Theseus's wedding day at night is because it is just a huge satire written by Shakespeare himself. So he is mocking the people around him, maybe even himself. Obviously we don't know what he was like. We know that he acted in some of his own plays. Maybe Bottom is Shakespeare's very self-referential, self-mocking version of him. The piece that I've chosen is essentially Bottom's kind of like mini speeches at the end when he is acting Pyramus. And one of the reasons that this always goes down so well when you see a live production of it is because it is hilarious. Everything that could go wrong in the play does tend to go wrong. So whether that is the mispronunciation of particular names, whether that is people missing their cue or an actor breaking character to explain something to the Duke, there's lots of little moments of error. And it always reminds me, actually, of a company that is currently working called Mischief Theatre, who does The Play That Goes Wrong, a comedy about a bank robbery. And they kind of specialise in bad acting. This is not to say that they are not fantastic, because they are hysterically funny, but they specialise in theatre that goes wrong. And there is a really big difference between watching someone on stage and just being like, oh, this is bad, and it being kind of like genuinely bad, boring to watch or not convincing, and watching someone acting badly. There's a very, very clear difference between the two, even though kind of trying to articulate the differences can be a bit of a struggle. But one of the reasons why the play at the end is so funny is because we've just come out of this world of topsy-turvy, fairies, magic, confusion, and just to top it all off, we have an absolutely madcap play where it's high-stakes melodrama, really bad, over-exaggerating acting, and we get to enjoy the reactions of the characters within the play reacting to the play. So very quickly all becomes very, very meta. But if you're watching a production and you're not like kind of falling off your seat laughing at this last scene, then something's gone wrong somewhere, because it's such a crowd pleaser. The only other thing to say is that Bottom is very aware he is breaking the fourth wall, but they're not the actual fourth wall. Bottom breaks the fourth wall under the guise of he's breaking the fourth wall of that particular play and not the play as a whole. So obviously there are parts where Bottom speaks to Duke Theseus, who is his audience. But when you see Shakespeare perform, the entire idea is to get the audience as involved as possible, to let them in on the joke, kind of like looking at people, etc., etc. They're all common tropes. So while Bottom's breaking the fourth wall by talking to Theseus, what he's actually doing is talking to us, to the real audience of the piece. So I think there is definitely like a sense of self-awareness about that. He's very aware he's performing because he's doing the best he can, but as an actor there's almost kind of like that other sense that, yeah, you may be talking to Theseus, but the messages are going to the audience kind of like as a whole, shall we say. The language is all actually very, very basic. There are certain moments where he uses a lot of alliteration, like quail, crush, conclude, and quell. It's a bit of a tongue twister to perform, to be perfectly honest. It's all kind of like rhyming, mostly using a simple ABA structure or sometimes rhyming couplets. And in general, you get the sense that this is not Shakespeare's best, nor is it meant to be. This is meant to be a hammy, amdram actor just really kind of like giving it his all. So while the language kind of almost reaches kind of like beauty, it then very quickly just gets chucked in with a ridiculous image. My personal favourite is thy mantle good, what, stained with blood, and kind of these half rhymes are excellent opportunities for the actor to be self-referential and be like, that doesn't really work. So it's written to be written badly because it's all coming from Bottom and not Shakespeare himself. Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright, for by thy gracious golden glittering gleams I trust to take of truest Thisbe sight. But stay, oh, spite! But mark, poor night, what dreadful dole is here? Oh, eyes, do you see? Oh, how can this be? Oh, dainty, dark, oh dear. No, how can it be? Thy mantle good, what, stained with blood? Come, Furies! Come, cut, thread, and thrum. Quail, crush, conclude, and quail. Oh, wherefore, nature, didst thou lions frame? For it is lions vile hath since deflowered, my dear, which is which was the fairest dame that lived, that loved, that looked, that light with cheer. Come, tears, confound, out, out, sword, this will have to do, and wound the pap of Pyramus. I, that left pap, where heart hops. Thus die I. Thus. Now am I dead? Now am I fled? My soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now, die. Die? Boom! We got the big boy.
The big boy.
The big boy.
How much was the big boy?
Big boy was £30.
I like
He
that.
was a birthday present, and I got a quill.
Ooh.
What
Fuck me.
more could they fucking need?
I know, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Ah!
Such distressing noise!